All right. I believe that is it. I'm going to quickly pull up a.
It's live on YouTube.
Is it okay? All right. Well, there we go. Perfect. All right. Fantastic. And the way that this new setup works, hello, thank you for tuning in. I'm Xcalion.
Batsam.
Batsam.
Testing on a new system today.
Yeah. Running the show with a new system today. Got a full PC, got a full streaming setup going. And the way all of this works now is I actually have an OBS doc for the chat.
Yeah.
For the actual chat, so I can see what's going on while we're live. I have it all hooked up. I can stream my gameplay while we're doing this now in the background.
There we go.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I see we have the TWAB and our faces already pulled up too, so I can't pick my nose whenever you scroll it over.
You're gonna have to get over that because today.
You're drinking with me. There we go. Time to bust it open, isn't it?
Oh my god.
Today I poured a hefty amount of dark Caribbean rum in a handmade
and a mug
that my wife made for me. It says "Nice aim, bro."
Oh my god.
And then if you drink all the way to the bottom, it says "Good game."
Good game. Oh my god, that's so good.
Right?
It's so good.
All
right. Well. Yes, we are live with the Speaker Podcast episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
So, GG's. Good job, everybody. We're almost to 10.
Hooray.
I'm not sure if we're going to get our Titan on for the 10th episode or not. I hope so, but,
yeah.
It is what it is. It's been an interesting week. Myself, I did not know that I was going to end up having yesterday off. I was at work Thursday, finishing up the day, and behind me, everyone else that's been there for a while is like really cleaning, like they would on a Friday. I'm like, What's going on, guys? Got company coming in tomorrow that I don't know about, and they're like, no, but man, it's Good Friday. We don't have to come to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
But nice.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, yesterday was interesting. Just tried to get some pinnacles done yesterday. Got all of my Iron Banner pinnacles done on my Hunter, my
nice
regular Crucible, Vanguard, and Gambit. I need to do my Nightfalls. I am officially Grandmaster ready.
There you go. I think I'm off by like 2.
Yeah. So
I could definitely use for the bit of grinding.
Right. And I intended to get on today and do some raiding, but there was nobody on, at all. So. Just short of LFGing, but yeah, I did all that yesterday, and then I got a new pew this week. I actually got 2 new pews this week, so took those to the range yesterday. That was fun.
He doesn't mean like the pew you sit in tomorrow because of Easter. He means gun.
I mean the real pew, the real definition of what a pew actually is in the dictionary.
Right.
So, but that's pretty much me. I mean, how's your reset going, man?
It's been good. I logged in to get my Bright Dust stuff and played around a little bit, just trying to level up my submission, just trying to get it so I can unlock all the unique perks. And I decided I think I'm probably gonna build 2 of them, and one I'm gonna build out with the enhanced perks that I want.
Yeah.
And then the other one I'm just going to keep without the enhanced perks and then change it based on what the situation requires. And the reason for that is it's real expensive to switch over the specialty perks, like the advanced perks. It's like I'm going to have one that I use all the time. I have the one my curated role for myself, and then I'll run whatever is needed for the other one. But then, as we'll see here in the TWAB here in a minute, with the hard mode coming out, I'm definitely going to try to go for an adapt version of the submission, which definitely in love with. It's great.
Yeah.
Just feel like you could mow down everything. It's got some really good range to it as well. So.
And you compare it with those new grenade launchers too, the Raid one and the explosive personality, because it's a kinetic SMG. Kinetic SMGs are usually a dime a dozen, but this one seems to be, for PvE anyways, a cut above the rest.
Oh, for sure.
So, I wanted to kind of talk real quick. about what I think might be happening for the future, because we know that next season we are getting an Iron Banner rework, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know that eventually they're going to do the same to Shax and Zavala that they've done with the Drifter and C14 eventually. Now I have an idea about that. I think at that point in time, save Trials engrams. I think that there isn't. I don't think that there's Gambit engrams. Okay, I don't think that there's Crucible engrams, and I don't think that there's like Vanguard engrams. I think that there's just going to be Umbral engrams. That way, anytime you have Umbrals, you can just decrypt them into what you want to decrypt them into at that point. That would save space, first off.
For sure,
you know? And I mean, that doesn't really. I mean, you have to have the weapons unlocked to be able to focus them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that gives players a way to be able to get some of the stuff. Like for me, I've played so much Gambit the last 2 weeks, and I've only gotten, I think after the 7 that I got last week and the 2 that I got this week, I've only gotten like 8 or 9 Gambit engrams, right? Like that's it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a little
underwhelming.
Yes. Yeah. Because don't get me wrong, there were definitely some weapons dropping for me while I was playing. I got a great roll for that new that Herod C. Yeah.
The water rifle.
It's just give me a second. I'll tell you exactly what it is, because I have all of this opened on my other PC now. Right here. Boom. Dynamic Sway and Demolitionist.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'm pretty
solid
stoked
roll.
about that. It's a solid roll. I got the fusion rifle and stuff like that, but I'm getting stuff to drop. But I really like the idea of focusing these engrams into what you want them to be.
Yeah,
and they're not I don't see a world where they give us more than 10 engram slots. So
yeah,
I just don't see it happening. I just don't. They've specifically said before that Vault Space isn't happening, Postmaster Space isn't happening, so
right.
I don't really see them doing that with anything.
Well, I mean,
else.
at least they're putting in systems in place now where it's like that's going to help alleviate that problem. Weapon crafting definitely takes care of a lot of Vault Space, because I mean, how many times have I held on to weapons because your recommendation was, oh, this is a really great roll, but I'm never going to use that gun because I personally don't like those guns for that type of system.
Right.
I don't play PvP enough to warrant holding on to 10 weapons, let alone a sniper rifle that I don't use in Crucible. But having the ability to go back and craft that weapon, there's no reason for me to hold on to it when I can just go build it.
And that's part of it. Once they introduce the rest of these weapons into crafting, my argument's going to be null and void, right?
Right.
But I don't know. I was just thinking about the future, kind of what's going on. I've been like the Iron Banner stuff. I'm starting to see the effects of them taking some of the weapons away now, and I get it. They added a lot of stuff in this last update,
right.
A lot of stuff. So naturally you have to take stuff out of the pool in order to add some of that stuff. And I get that, but some of it, I don't, I don't really understand. They've basically announced at this point that Shayer's Wrath is going away from Trials after this season. I feel like that's still a brand new gun,
Right.
And they did the same with Igneous Hammer. Like now, Igneous Hammer's not dropping anymore. And Iron Banner, you can't get the pulse rifle or the scout rifle anymore.
Right.
The new ones, Time Worn Spire and Guiding Sight. So I'm really, really curious to see how they kind of do some of this stuff moving forward.
I think it's because they're going to bring it into crafting.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
It's just...
I feel like if you're gonna take something away like that, what's the point? What's the purpose of it? Is it overperforming? Does it need an overhaul, like a rebalance, a rework? There's a lot of things that could be played into that. I mean, I know for Shayera's Wrath, like I have a couple rolls myself, use it everywhere, but it's kind of being outshined by Funnel Web right now. Same archetype, same damage type.
A different archetype, but yeah.
But Funnel Web is also way easier to come by And so maybe it needed a revamp.
Sure.
Maybe it needs a buff. The not the item pool, but the perk pool needed some revamping. But I don't necessarily feel like you need to pull that out of your loot pool unless you're trying to put new stuff in to rotate stuff out.
Yeah.
And if that was already a well sought after gun, I could see that being the case. Because if you pull that and then the Ignis Hammer, which were two, really well performing weapons, pull those out and then bring a new kind of meta in, you're changing up what's being played out for the future. But
yeah, and
I like to think it's going to be crafting.
I hope so. I just they haven't really said much about it,
right.
So far as crafting goes, and of course we're really deep into the season at this point in time. 30 something days left. 30.
Yeah, basically another month.
Yeah, like right there. 37 days. 37 days already. My goodness. Maybe it's just because last season was so long. The season seems so
flying
short.
by.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't mind.
Right.
But I'm ready for them at this point in time. We have, if there's 37 days, that's what, three or four TWABs left for the season. At some point in time, they'll start talking about next season and what they're going to do. Weapon crafting
I would love
is
to
still
see
in its infancy, so.
Yeah, I would love to see by Lightfall armor crafting. And we've talked about this before. But like the idea for what armor crafting would be, you go to a table and you have just a template. And there's the common, uncommon, rare, and legendary status of an armor piece. Because I doubt they let you build an exotic one. But if you were able to then get, for doing different activities, like little point packs that you could then drop into pieces of armor. And based on the frame of the armor that you built. So let's say, I know back in the day they had like resilience armor, and it just gave you more resilience. And this one was more flexible armor. Like, okay. But if you could drop stats into those armors, or have it so it's like these are all, base level stats, but then as you play, you unlock new points for your armor. So your armor becomes modular. It grows with you. I think that could be cool. And it would definitely alleviate even more space in your vault because there's no need to keep random rolls when you're crafting your own.
Yeah, for sure. I think that with armor, that's where they can use this, where they've implemented all of these random materials that are going away. The adroit, the ruinous, all of those energetic. That would be a good way to say, okay, well, if you want resilience, that's going to cost adroit. If you want intellect, that's going to cost ruinous or something like that, right? Just something. Yeah. And I could actually totally see them doing exotic armor. With armor, that's where you use your exotic piece. Whatever it's called.
I feel like, so the reason why I don't think they'll do exotic like crafting armor outside of like really specific instances is just because I feel like they'd be too busted or too underpowered because there's no middle ground.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where I've foregone carrying a legendary weapon just because it doesn't fit my playstyle.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit the activity I'm going to go do. If you had modular armor, you could do stuff like that. But if you had an exotic armor that you could give random stats to or like random buffs, like, you just straight up get an extra grenade. Well, that just basically makes the Titan Armamentarian chest piece just obsolete. If everyone can do it, then what's the point of it being exotic?
Sure.
So there's a bunch of different things that go alongside that. So if they decide to do armor crafting, that's going to be a huge thing to talk about in the future, which I'm thinking like, oh man, yeah, if they have the rest of this year to work weapon crafting to like its peak, and then Lightfall comes, and then we get introduced to armor crafting, that could be something. Yeah. That could be another big pull that would pull in. Again, we're shifting more to an MMO style thing.
Yes.
Weapon crafting, ability tuning, all of the little things are starting to come into place where we're finally starting to get an identity for what Destiny 2 is.
More customizable subclasses is a huge one too.
Yes.
And
they can continue to build on that.
Yeah.
They can just keep adding new fragments and aspects.
They absolutely could, That's they did that after it was after Stasis came out. I want to say the first 2 seasons after Stasis came out, they added new fragments.
Well, and aspects.
And yeah, so that's totally something that they could do that would constantly keep those fresh, without having to do something totally groundbreaking, right?
Right.
And I think that's huge. And you mentioned we're coming up. It's a more MMO style version of the game, and I think that that's going to be really important because for a long time now, I think Destiny's biggest problem, Bungie's biggest problem with Destiny is an identity crisis.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Right, and it's like me being the PvP guy. So far as PvP games go, this isn't what Call of Duty. This isn't like Call of Duty Vanguard or Battlegrounds or what is that other big game, Tarkov, Escape from Tarkov. This isn't this isn't that. This is first and foremost a PvE game with some PvP sprinkled into it. That's why they have a hard time with things like actual competitive PvP.
And then balancing issues.
And don't get me wrong, they've done a pretty good job of separating PvE and PvP sandboxes. They could do a lot better, and there's a lot of places where they, absolutely, could work on that. But for what it is right now, I'm happy to see them actually kind of settle in on an identity.
Yeah, and I think this comes back to, we talked about this a couple different times throughout the podcast, but right after the announcement came for Beyond Light, when they publicly made the statement saying that they weren't going to be making Destiny 3, that's when the wheels began to turn. That's when their future proofing began to show itself. That's when the roadmap started being put together. They probably had this in store a lot longer than that, but once that decision was made public, that's when the players, we began to see the real changes that were coming in. They're getting more and more of an identity, because again, yeah, like you said, it's always struggled with that. Even in Destiny 1, there were tons of elements of MMO style, and then when they were asked, like, "Oh, you guys an MMO?" Like, "Oh no, we're kind of like a Borderlands looter shooter." Like, well, no, Borderlands has the same gun with 8 or 9 variants on a roll. I mean, it's a random generator for loot. It can run with anything. You're very pressed to find the same thing twice, that's the exact same stuff. But Destiny had that. You had some randomness to it, but it was a lot of the same. If you got an exotic, I got the same one, same stats.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We're starting to see that different with exotics now, but a lot of the guns had very similar roles. Well, not anymore. Armors having different roles. It's very MMO style. And now they're giving us some control over that MMO-ness. And they honestly have such an impressive backlog of weapons and armor that if they just kind of dump trucked all that in, it would be overwhelming for you at first. But man, it could really open up to that MMO style that people kind of have been wanting.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I kind of just want them to pick and decide where they want to go. Is this going to continue to be a looter shooter like it kind of always has been? But are you going to do a gearbox and you're going to just randomize everything? Or are you going to do MMO where it's you can get some random stuff, but then you can craft everything.
Yeah.
Get your materials, and the best stuff is crafting at the end with raid stuff. And we're kind of already beginning to see that. They talk about a little bit, not this stuff specifically, but they talk about getting stuff more accessibly in the TWAB this week, which very excited to get into.
Oh yeah.
But again, and I keep saying this all the time, it's kind of my favorite thing to talk about Destiny right now. It's future proofing. Future proofing is real, and they're really making some heavy strides in that direction.
Yeah.
This is probably, I went gun ho at the beginning of the season with the raid. I got burnt out really fast because of the amount of time I put into it. I've definitely taken a back seat from playing. I'll play maybe 2 or 3 times a week now, heavily for a couple hours and get some stuff in. But I've been playing a ton of Elden Ring. I have 4 different characters that have almost all finished the game. I'm trying to get all 7 endings. I've been playing a lot of Ark with my wife, my dad, and my 2 sisters. That's been a lot of fun. But Destiny's always been a kind of game where I'll go back to because they allow that nice, like, longer break. You don't always have to be on top of it to get everything you need. But now with them dropping like the Grandmaster Nightfalls and then the Master Mode for Raid, I'm definitely going to be shifting a bit more back into that. So
it's interesting because this is, I think, the first time that I've ever seen an expansion come out, like a fresh expansion, not like a season or something, but a fresh expansion where so many people kind of dropped off this quick.
Really
And
quickly, yeah.
There's a couple of reasons for that. The first reason being, this expansion, they usually come out in October, November. This one came out in February. This part of the year, this is Q1 of 2022, whenever this game came out. That's when a lot of companies are dumping a lot of games. So that's a big part of it. I think you're right about the other part of it is a lot of people just were too invested into the grind too early on and maybe experienced some burnout. I've been staying fairly consistent, with the new job and all that, and
Right.
in baseball season with the amount of time that I'm putting into the game. But you're right about the future proofing. Destiny used to really have a FOMO issue, right? The fear of missing out. They really used to have that issue. I declare it's gone. That issue is not a problem anymore. I know that next season you'll be able to turn back around and continue. If you want to jump into the PsyOps Battlegrounds, you'll be able to do that. And just something like that. So
I definitely think they made themselves like, hey, listen, kind of like how Nintendo is. Nintendo's like, we don't see ourselves as a competitor to anybody because we know you're already going to come back. Like when they did, so they did an interview. Great analogy. Well, that's just it. Like, so Kotaku and then Games Radar and a couple other ones sat down. I think it was, Anyway, they sat down with Nintendo and they're like, PS5 was just about to drop, and then the new Xbox was about to drop. And they're sitting down with Nintendo and like, you guys aren't putting in a new system yet. Would you guys see yourself as competition? Like, no, not at all. Like, oh, okay. And then they asked the same thing to Microsoft and Sony, and so both of them said, we do not view Nintendo as a competitor. And when they were asked why, Sony was my favorite response. Like, we know you're gonna have a Nintendo console, and then either a PlayStation or Xbox. Like, very rarely do you have all three, but you're gonna have two. Yeah. They were very confident about when they said that. I'm like, that's very true. In my home, I own 2 PS5s and 2 Switches. My wife has her PS5 and her own Switch, and I have my PS5 and my own Switch. They were absolutely spot on. And like, my Switch kind of takes a back seat sometimes. But you know what? Whenever my games are downloading, whenever I'm going on a trip, whenever I'm at my parents' house and I have nothing to do, Switch comes out of my bag. I literally take my Switch to work.
Yeah.
It's in my backpack. I have a ton of games that I'm like kind of waiting to finish, but it's the unbridled confidence Nintendo has. Like, oh, you're gonna play our stuff. It may not be on release day, but you're gonna play.
Eventually.
You're totally correct. I'll buy games and never play them for a long time and then get to it. But Destiny, had this really big, like, if you didn't play that season, you missed out on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're like, you missed out on something. No, you're fine. Come play it next week. Come play it next season. You're allowed to do that now, and I love that. I think it's because they've kind of shaken that off of themselves. I think they were kind of a little still scared after Activision's, they bought themselves away. Like, man, how are we gonna do this? We need to make that bottom line. It's like, no, your fans are coming back. I think they finally read the numbers and the analytics and got to a place where they feel a little bit more confident about what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And so they're spacing out more of their content to reflect that. So,
for sure,
I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed seeing that.
Well, we should probably dive into this TWAB. It is a good
half hour in.
Dive into TWAB.
And just now get up the TWAB.
I've been pretty stoked for this. Because it's just because, like, like TWAB stuff, every week. I always look forward to it. I know you do too. This one was particularly good. So we'll start here. This week at Bungie, we talk about Rolk finding his chill and a new way to enjoy raids and dungeons. It really is almost mid-April already, huh? As weeks continue to feel like they fly by in a rush for summer, we're excited to show off even more changes coming to Destiny while we continue to work on what the future means for our favorite spacefaring heroes. And the next few weeks, we'll be diving through some weapon sandbox changes and other topics of interest. One of the changes that we are ready to talk about now, however, is the new rotator system for some of your more challenging activities in-game, particularly raids and dungeons. So, ready to kick off another weekly Twabtastic celebration? Let's dive right into it then, shall we? Who wrote this one? Hippie. I don't know who Hippie is, but I like.
It's one of their new community managers.
Yeah. I like their style.
She's very all over the place with her writing.
Let me increase the size of this here a little bit. Okay. All right, Dungeons and Raids. Kind of like Dungeons and Dragons if you squint one eye and close the other. Before diving into what's next for activities like Raids and Dungeons, we did want to shout out that players can finally take Rolk's kick to the face at an even higher ferocity because Master Valve the Disciple is dropping next week. For the deets regarding the ramped up difficulty, Guardians should know that the power level is 1580 with a season cap of plus 30. For those challenge-hardy players, completing challenges at master difficulty will offer progress towards the raid seal. Each encounter completed also has a chance to drop an adept version of a given weapon for the raid. It's a neat way to up the ante a bit when taking on the more challenging aspects of Destiny 2. Master Valve the Disciple drops next week on April 19th, so make sure to knock out any leveling needed and to get the gear to tip-top shape because master difficulty is never something to take lightly.
My favorite is when Vault of Glass came out and we were gearing up our team and our clan leader's like, it'll take a half hour. And we got stomped for like 45 minutes on the gate and then everyone quit. It's really funny.
We eventually figured it out, but my God.
Right.
My God.
No, I also will say we also did start really late in the evening. Like one of our guys was like, "Hey guys, let's get this going now" at like 7 o'clock.
No.
And the whole team didn't get together until about 9.
Right.
And he had to work at 5 in the morning, which totally understandable. You don't want to be up that late. I get it. But then that kind of put a bad taste in all of our mouths. Like we couldn't really do it. So a lot of us LFG'd to kind of get to that place, and we all got Fatebringer eventually. But it was quite challenging. Anyways,
good times. Hey, I want to ask you something real quick.
Yeah.
Before moving on, they mentioned adept weapons. We knew that they were coming.
Yes.
It very really appears that you will not be able to craft them.
Yeah.
So, I understand by reading Reddit and Twitter and stuff like that people believe that there is a real possibility that adept weapons will drop with enhanced perks.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what's the point?
Right. I think if they didn't do that, it wouldn't be as worth the chase. Like, sure, adapt mods. But guess what? Adapt mods, as great as they are, and they do pack somewhat of a punch, it means next to nothing if your 2 perks in your gun aren't rolling at higher capacity than something you can craft.
Right.
Because, we're going to get to it here in a minute, but you can now farm dungeon encounters. You can farm raid encounters. You can go to these encounters and just keep running the same thing in hopes of getting red line gear. Well, what's the point if you can go craft something better than the adapt stuff? Like, what's the point of grinding? So unless they change up the entire perk pool of that weapon, it makes no sense unless you can get the adapt perks to drop with better things. So these guns are either going to be off the chain or just underwhelming. And either way, we're going to see something come out of this. These weapons are either going to be super meta right out the gate, or there's going to be such a backlash from how underpowered they are that the next couple of updates are going to be towards fixing these. Yeah. Or at least the next couple of raids are going to be fixing these.
I really hope that they have this figured out already. And I would imagine this is something that they've absolutely talked about. Like, I feel like they would have had to have talked about this because these fully crafted weapons are badass.
They're powerhouses.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And
So again, I feel like, not to cut you off, I really feel like we're gonna see something happen here. Like they probably have like their little system in place, and like, okay, based on what happens next, something changes. And I think everyone's just like kind of waiting to see what's gonna happen next, like, because it's definitely way easier to overpower something than it is to underpower it.
Yeah.
So I think this is really going to be an interesting change for them. I
just see something coming out like an adept submission that's got your enhanced perks already on it, and you can put the adept mods on it. Like, you know,
disgusting.
That it sounds too good to be true.
Right.
But
they're going to have to do something.
They have to do something. They have to. Yeah. They absolutely have to. But anyways, go ahead.
This also could be a way. I'm sorry. This also could be a way for people who
excited.
don't.
It's fine.
I am. This could be a way for people who don't have the capability or the time or the teammates to put in for adapt stuff to meet that requirement. Now, that being said, if you don't have like the team to do raids, but you have the ability to build raid guns, that means you've already been in there a couple times, at least 5 to get the built weapon, or you got really lucky in one run. And every encounter dropped the same gun. And you did the secret room. There's a lot that has to, you know, it has to be like the perfect run.
Yeah.
And only one weapon. So it doesn't make sense in that. If you look at it like that, it doesn't make sense where somebody who can't do the raid without a team, well, you can do the normal one and build a gun. Cool. And now you can make it somewhat adapt. But then if the perks are still better than the actual adapt guns, there's no reason to push for it. So sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good, man. You're good. I'm stoked either way. But we'll continue on here. As players continue exploring the throne world and uncover the true nature of the Witness's influence, we've heard your desires for reasons to return to the previously released raid and dungeon content loud and clear. One way we're freshening up the raid and dungeon experience in Destiny 2 is by developing a new rotation of featured content that we think you'll like starting in Season 17. This is designed to make raid and dungeon content a bit more enticing over the course of a season, while also providing more ways to play when jumping into different activities with friends and clanmates. Essentially, we're breaking up our new rotator system into seasonal and weekly categories so that the players can have a little additional freshness when taking on a weekly hunt for power. Let's start with our seasonal rotation, since this implementation is short and sweet. Each season, the newly released raid and dungeon will grant pinnacle rewards for all encounters. As an example, in Season 17, Valve the Disciple and the upcoming Redacted dungeon. Outside of these, we'll have a raid rotator and a dungeon rotator, each offering a pinnacle reward once completed. For those wondering about the weekly rotation, this particular inclusion will have a chance to feature all raids and a dungeon not listed as the seasonal rotation. Want to revisit the Vex in Garden of Salvation? Do it. Want to go be toe-to-toe with Riven because you like to feel hungry for the widely impressive and stressful as all heck for players like me that are prone to panic final encounter? Weird, but get on with your brave and light-driven self. Get that bread. And then hold on. Go
ahead.
We're almost there. Rewards! What's different there? For the weekly rotation, completing the final encounter of any of the chosen raids or dungeons will award a pinnacle drop for a weekly challenge. For any raid or dungeon that offers a higher difficulty, such as Master Vogue, that higher difficulty will also be available to select should players be itching for the additional challenge. Oh wait! You said you liked farming? We got you there too with the new rotator system. All lockouts on encounter rewards for legendary gear are being removed, which means all legendary drops in both raids and dungeons will be 100% farmable if you so choose. Throw on some lo-fi music, grab a cozy beverage, and farm for your heart's content, or don't. The choice is yours, which is kind of the point. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was really stoked about listening to lo-fi music.
I've been so excited because I've been like streaming on Twitch for a couple of days, like trying to get some bugs worked out, and I can actually play Spotify music in the background now.
Right. Yeah, you better watch out because as soon as you get partnered, you can't do that no more.
Oh, I have a copyright-free, royalty-free playlist.
There you go.
But dude, this is like one of my favorite iterations of Destiny. One of my favorite things in Destiny ever was right before they implemented sunsetting. All right, they had all of the raid content with and they took, basically they're trying to get everybody to get all of the raids done. It was before the what was it? The Moments of Triumph, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just before Beyond Light where they took away everything.
Yes, and they took out the reward lockouts on all of the raids. And we farmed so many raids at that point in time. We got so many people their anarchies. We got like one person their 1,000 voices. It was, dude. It was one of my favorite times because like
there's so much to do.
Yeah, like I will grind something if I know I'm going to be rewarded for it. And you know, for sure, like, okay, maybe I'm only going to get the pinnacle drop one time out of the week, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But I really want my Insidious Pulse Rifle. Please, let me farm my Insidious Pulse Rifle. Something like that, you know, or the armor, or whatever. I don't care, you know. Just allowing us to farm things makes the game better. This is huge.
No, I agree. Especially Destiny is so loot driven, like that kind of adds to the whole time management of playing this game. If you know that you run your 3 strikes and you get your pinnacle, I'm done playing strikes for the rest of the week after that.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to suffer through 3 rounds of Gambit. All right, I'll suffer through 3 rounds of Gambit. I can finish all the majority of the bigger pinnacles in one night after coming home from work.
Yeah.
I can knock all that out and then save the weekend for Grandmasters, trials, raids. Perfect. I can get everything done in a week. Now with this, if there's something specific I want, like I don't have the kinetic fusion rifle from Valor Disciple. I don't have the pulse rifle. I have the exotic one. I don't have the normal one. I'm still missing that, and I'm missing the armband for the Warlock. Everything else, I have. I've almost finished all the challenges for the raid. Like there's a couple things I'm missing, which is hilarious to me. I can craft submission. I can almost craft the glaive and the linear fusion rifle, and I haven't gotten 2 of the guns and 1 piece of armor. So that's funny to me. They're like, oh, but now I can go farm that stuff. And that's great because raid armor has the extra slots, which can then drop you better stats, a bunch of different stuff. Also, the pirate dungeon from Galahorn.
Grasp of Evers.
So that one, the final encounter, you can farm that. You can get armor pieces that have additional mod slots specifically for seasonal armor.
On Master. On Master.
Yes. I have gloves that do that. And that's the only thing I use when it comes to more difficult content. Whenever I have to fight champions, I only wear those gloves. I would love to get a full armor set of that. And that was something last season you could farm for.
Yeah.
Now you can do that again. Yeah. So I want to do that.
Yeah, same. I've been talking about getting some Avarice armor for a while now, just because it's so handy.
For sure.
And I would like to be able to try and farm for some specific roles. Last season, after the 20th anniversary content was dropped, you could farm that to your heart's content all the time. And after season 16 took off, they paused that. You couldn't farm it anymore, which I guess is fine. I think you can still get pinnacles from it. Am I right about that?
Yeah, you can still get pinnacles from it. Yeah.
So I need to do that. Anyways, but now you'll be able to farm it again. There's some great stuff that drops from there. Of course, your Ias Luna, your 1,000-yard stare.
Matador,
and that armor. Dat armor. And so I'm pretty stoked for that. This is huge. Giving us rewards for stuff. Bungie, I say this almost every podcast at this point. DMG, I know you're watching. Okay? This makes it a better game. There's not a single person that plays Destiny that thinks, man, I really wish I could do that raid again today and not get rewarded for it.
Funny enough, back in the day, right after Beyond Light dropped, when we did Deepstone Crypt,
Oh yeah.
I would run that raid constantly on one character because I just don't play my other characters. I only play Warlock. Huge Warlock main here. Don't know if you guys knew, but I would play on the same character constantly. Didn't get rewards. I got clears and I got spoils. Basically all I got. But I loved that raid.
Mm-hmm.
So to get extra rolls and stuff now, that's really nice.
Yes.
It then gives incentive to your Sherpas
Mm-hmm.
to go back and teach those raids again. This system benefits literally everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Loot is what motivates people to play this game. Our Titan is heavily motivated by loot to do anything in the game. If he wants something, he's gonna find a way to go get it because that's his style. So,
All right, keep talking for a second. He
no worries.
he said
So-
he says he Blood just messaged. He said that our chat audio is turned off for some reason.
Oh, interesting.
Let me entertain them for a moment.
Sure. So, fun story. Yesterday was Good Friday.
Uh-huh.
I was bartending as I do on Fridays. Super slow night, and around like 9 o'clock was kind of like the time we could probably start closing down because that's how slow we were. Because here in Ohio we had two major games playing. We had the Cavaliers and the Indians. So they're not the Guardians; they're the Indians. So they were playing, and we were just super dead because we're not a sports bar; we're a craft beer bar. So then all of a sudden, the boss comes rolling in, super drunk, with her entourage. About 30 people. They all come in. They all start ordering drinks like it was going out of style. The boss has one drink and then leaves to go to another bar. And left her entourage that didn't leave until about 1:30 in the morning. So that was super fun. And then we had somebody who used to wrestle in college who's still super jacked, kept trying to wrestle everyone of the same size. So he's like, "Hey man, let's wrestle." I'm like, no, we don't do that here. So I thumb wrestled him and he won. He's like, "You let me win." I'm like, "Oh, of course I did." Super drunk. It's really funny. But as far as all the stuff we've been talking about in the swab, a lot of great stuff has been coming out of this. And with the whole loot system being able to be farmed now, it's nice because, again, like I was saying, there's no reason ever to not be playing the game whenever you're not able to get loot. It's being able to do a raid multiple times over and over again. It kind of gets, you don't want to do it after you've done it 3 times because you do it once in each character and that's it. Well, this gives incentive to, you have a couple clanmates who didn't get to get in on those 3 runs. You can give them a hand now. People who are in there doing the real business, the real work, doing the raid guides, you guys can get in there and actually get rewarded for your time. That's kind of one of the things that, aside from I have a growing family and work 2 jobs to do, what I do.
Should be fixed, Blood.
Oh, that's good. I've always wanted to do like raid guides I wanted to do the raid guide for the Scourge of the Past, and I wanted to do it for Deepstone Crypt. I wanted to guided raids. But I never actually did it because first off, time was a thing, and then I didn't care for the loot because I already had everything I wanted, but it would have been nice to be rewarded for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then especially if you're farming the raid guns, this is an excellent way of doing that. Considering they might not be pinnacle in the future, this is a great way of at least getting it done. You no longer have to wait several weeks to get the gun you want to build. Because when the raid dropped for Vow of Disciple, I got a submission, but it wasn't red barred. I ended up getting one the next time. Oh no, I bought one. That's right. I bought a red bar. So it took me 4 weeks to finally get the ability to build my submission, which this now takes that out of it. You can sit there and farm and potentially get those rolls. You're still guaranteed, if you do the secret chest, you're guaranteed 1 red bar or whatever at the end. And then you can buy a red bar weapon at the end for Spoils of Conquest. And this then helps you at least do that. And then even the other thing too, to be able to craft raid guns, you require raid material from the guns. You're really limited on how much you can customize unless you're constantly running those raids to build that up. This again takes that guesswork out. Well, it takes the the need to be
Right.
constantly running on all three characters. This is definitely another huge quality of life improvement that's going to pay off huge in the future. The game is not going to be the same next year. Like, we're looking at like pinnacle changes that they're making now that's really going to shape how new light players are going to experience the game in the future. Like, man, we're going to remember the time where like the great drought known as sunsetting, where we lost half of our content. The fact that we couldn't craft weapons, that there was no glamour system. Like, these things are coming back, and it's nice that they're back, or just even in the game to begin with. So again, we've talked. I keep saying this again. Future proofing. They're doing such a great job with future proofing. I'm very excited about this. This was a great TWAB, just for that knowledge alone. That small fix then makes this game. There's more survivability to it now. Like, this game can stand on its own a little bit more now. It's very good. Yes. I'm gushing about it because like that's such a great fix. Such an easy one too. It's like a couple lines of code. Take off the lock for drops. You know why we have double drops for raids? Not raids, but nightfalls? Because it was an accident.
Oh,
it was accidentally a thing. And now I can't imagine not having that. It's so good.
And how many people are doing that every week whenever it's double drops? Like, so many people doing Grandmasters or whatever. I mean, man, I remember like that first time it was like freaking Adept Pally dropping, and we did it, and I didn't get a single drop for like the first 2 or 3 runs.
I know.
Man.
I'm still laughing about it.
Yeah, I'm doing something about it, that's for sure. But anyways, it's all good stuff. I'm very stoked, as he is. The future for this game is very bright. We'll touch up on a patch note preview for next week real quick. We're hitting the mid-season mark, which means it's time to do a little housekeeping. We're tracking a neat little failsafe for players when carrying objects for the Wellspring attack, some fine-tuning to Roke and his ilk in the Vow the Disciple raid, and taking on a few more Gambit changes to continue making Drifter proud. We've got a small patch preview to share, nothing major, tempering those expectations now, but here are just a few of those, some of the tweaks coming in the pipeline for Destiny 2 that you can look forward to before they go live later this month on April 19th. The Wellspring attack fixed an issue that could cause teams to incorrectly wipe during the Master Wellspring when an objective is completed with only a few seconds left on the timer. Also, added a failsafe. It is nice. Added a failsafe so that the carryable object in both the ritual and boss phases of the Wellspring won't spawn out of bounds. Yeah, I've encountered that a few times. Altar of Reflection fixed an issue where players could not complete the evidence board quest report Altar Reflect due to the Altar of Reflection not showing up properly. More like Altar of Reappearance. Haha.
Just read the twab. Just read the twab.
That's what it says, man. I am reading the twab. That's what it says.
Wait, what?
It says that. More like Altar of Reappearance.
All right. Hippie, you must be stopped. I wanted to say it up towards the top, and Legend's like, no. Just wait. I'm like, no. You need to be stopped. There's just some real dad joke vibes coming out here.
Hippie, I love it. Don't change. Vow of the Disciple raid fixed an issue where Roke would suddenly become shy and no longer transition back to his initial phase properly, effectively blocking progress. Fixed an issue where the Caretaker's dynamic health threshold UI would not consistently display for all the players. It's interesting. They oh hey, Blood's in the chat now. Nice.
Yeah, Blood said he heard crickets during your joke.
It wasn't my joke.
Well, you said it though.
I have noticed that they haven't said anything about the Caretaker's damage glitch yet.
Yeah.
So I think that's still a thing where you can like lock him out. Basically, it's. I want to say it's totally random. I don't think there's a way to make it happen.
Right.
But yeah. Trials of Osiris fixed an issue where players were not receiving the expected rewards on post-flawless wins.
So people who had already gotten the flawless, who had gone back, for their next round of stuff? Mm-hmm. Like after you finished your card and you're still playing on a 7 card? Mm-hmm. Was that what that was, or just in general?
Both. So yeah, two things happened after you went flawless, right? If you were still flawless and you like you hadn't lost anything yet, and you continue to play, wins could grant either another adept drop or ascendant shards, whichever. Right now, even if you are flawed at that point in time, it'll still drop other stuff, right? But for whatever reason, some people weren't getting anything to drop.
Okay.
There was also that other bug last week where playing on a confidence card, all you had to do was get 7 wins on your ticket. Didn't matter how many times you lost, all you needed was 7 wins, and after the 7 wins, it would start giving you adept weapons every time. Not every time, but at the end of matches.
Ledge. The actual heck.
I legit found out about this like the day after.
Bro.
I'm sorry.
I could have used that.
You want to get mad at somebody, get mad at Nick because he was using this all weekend and didn't say a word to anyone. Nicholas. Actually, no. You gotta talk to him like this, Nick.
Yeah, right.
What are you doing, Nick? Jerk. Are you out of your mind? Text chat. Virtual keyboard support.
Angry at him later.
I'll text him here in a second. Virtual keyboard support is now available for console text chat. Improvements have been made to make text chat messages more legible. Added a system message text field that is italicized to display system text. Local chat now has an orange tint to it for differentiation, no longer the white color, clear that color distinction for in-game colorblind settings. Cool. Weapon crafting.
Nice.
Yeah. Added a consumable item that allows viewing of elemental counts. This can be acquired through the relic conduit. It is not a limited item. It can be discarded and reacquired anytime.
Listen, at least it's in the game.
It's in the game. You know what? Instead of fixing the UI, we're just going to give you a consumable item.
Listen. It's in the game.
It's in the game.
We've made a lot of improvements. Ledge, don't crap on the one tiny bad one. This is a good twab, Ledge. Keep going. Not even to my favorite part yet.
Yeah. Good twab. Even the part where you guys didn't laugh at my joke.
Legend, you are the joke. While your middle name is Punchline. Keep going.
Damn. Artifact. Players with all 25 artifact mods unlocked can still reset the artifact for no additional glimmer cost. Can now reset for no additional glimmer cost. Once all 25 artifact mods are unlocked, reset that point on our free.
Why?
I don't know.
Who is doing this that needed this? What person decided that they needed to do? I want to reset my artifact for the fun of it. Let me get back up to level 45 before I can do this again. For shame.
Blood, I'm going to have to ask you to calm down. Listen. They still need to fix colorblind setting? Yeah.
Coming.
Abilities. Fix an issue or devour would sometimes grant less buff time and multiple targets were killed in quick succession. Added aim assist targeting to enemy Axion bolt secondary projectiles to help players hit bolts that are chasing both themselves and fellow allies. The upcoming patch will also tackle notable stability issues and crash fixes. Zer's wonky stats for his wares and the Raoul's destination materials for sale will resume rotating at least. I want to say, like, immediately after the TWAB, when nobody really had, people like just get in and get that fresh read and they don't really take any of the context. So many people were just like, Axion bolts are getting more aim assist. It was,
no.
Like,
shut up and read the item description, guys.
Just read, guys. Come on.
No, I can't do that. I never finished the 4th grade. I was homeschooled.
I'm from Texas, so I actually didn't finish the 4th grade. And now we are going to scroll all the way down to the end of the TWAB. Oh, what's this? What is this? What is this? What's this? Mex 1? What?
Mech suits win!
Mex?
So excited about that. It was close. It was real close.
52 to 48?
Oh my gosh.
Because last year's was like...
It was a landslide.
It was a landslide. Absolute landslide.
It was like a meteor to some dinosaurs.
Man, I guess I'm weird because I'm on Reddit and I see people talking about Monster should have won. I just wanted some furry legs for my Titan. And I'm like,
shut up.
Titan is the ugliest of the three. You know, in fact, I'll even say the Warlock and the Hunter both look rad.
The Warlock definitely got a better, an improvement from the previous year, yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
But no. I finally get to cosplay as someone from Neon Genesis Evangelion as my Warlock. I'm very excited. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Yeah, I'm gonna end up finding a different helmet to wear for my Hunter. Mm-hmm. The only thing I don't like about it is the super pointy chin. I wish it wasn't so pronounced, but I'm gonna rock it. It's gonna be awesome.
It's Cade's head flipped upside down.
Right?
It's his horn.
Right? Yeah, it really is. Wow. And I know how stoked Blood is for that Titan because there's so much like going on there. Like he already tried to do. He's done 2 different types of mech Titan before. He's attempted to do Gundam Titan and he's done Optimus Prime. Like
his Optimus Prime was
dope.
Sick, though.
That was dope.
He was getting messages about it. He's like, dude, Optimus Prime? Yeah, no, this is freaking ridiculous.
And he had the Striker Sure Hand with the same shader on it, so it looked like the Star Saber. Like,
Yep.
Oh, that was good. Blood, you're in chat. That was legit. No, whoever wants them Titan monster is an effing furry.
They're not wrong.
I did see somebody, they're like, I just wanted furry legs to match my Ursa Furiosus. I'm sorry, this is the most Joe Biden thing I've ever heard. I got hairy legs. I'm sorry, man. I've been drinking for a while now.
I mean,
this is
all good.
Yeah, I got started
with mine too.
earlier today.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went to lunch earlier, and I had a couple of cocktails. And
very good.
Anyways, let's wrap this up. As we rapidly approach the next part of the story, as Season of the Risen continues, we're excited to reveal what's next for our Guardians and their corresponding shenanigans. Keep it turned in here for our weekly TWABs for more info on what's coming down the pipeline, including more weapon changes, a new Gambit Labs, and more. Until next time, stay kind, drink lots of water, and go out there and do some good in the world this week. Catch you on the flip side, Guardians. I should go. Love Hippie.
We're not listening. We didn't do the water thing. We were definitely drinking alcohol.
Did they mention before that they were going to talk about Gambit changes? Did they mention Gambit changes at all?
Nope, not at all.
Well,
so we talked about this last week. We really both like the lab changes now.
Yeah,
I hope it stayed that way.
For sure, 100%. I don't care. Mech's won, so I don't really care if it's in there or not.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited about the mechs.
I'm gonna be a robot, so. But yeah, that covers your TWAB for the week, everybody. Yeah. And again, man, I know I get on here and I sound like some kind of damn cheerleader every night that we do the TWAB, because I'm just excited about what's coming. They really haven't had a bad TWAB yet. At least this season, yeah. This season, mm-hmm. There might have been 1 or 2 where it's like there's not really anything going on. You know, you have your slow periods. That's fine.
Right.
But as I mentioned before, we're getting closer and closer to next season. They're going to start talking about these other changes coming up. Eventually, they're going to start talking about Arc 3.0.
Well, to that Kamehameha come back with a vengeance.
Right. I can't wait to be a hunter and use Kamehameha. That's going to be great. Now, I'm kidding. I know that's not going to happen.
Everything you just said.
Wow.
Don't take that away from me.
Get your pom-poms out. Blood.
Because he is a cheerleader. He's from Texas.
Hey, man, all the best cheerleaders in the world come from Texas. But, yeah, I'm probably going to get off of here and go do some other stuff. You mentioned last week that maybe we start actually doing like the reset thing. So, do you have set days off?
Yes.
Okay.
We just have to. Well, we can discuss that later.
Yeah, for sure.
Because man, I work reset day, so it would either be like a Sunday. It would be a Monday or Wednesday thing, but by then it's kind of out the window.
Wednesday's fair. Wednesday's not bad.
Right, kind of
Yeah.
covered. It would have to be a much shorter podcast.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We just hop on, we talk about the details, we talk about, where to go to talk to about armor and stuff.
Quick
It's real
reset
easy.
stuff, and then
And this whole system now, like I can legit, like, hold on, let me.
Bloodbane says they already have Golden Gun. They don't need Kamehameha.
Wow, you guys are hateful.
No, you have a burst Kamehameha in a gun. I just get to look cool while I jump in the air and go brrr.
Excuse me, sir. You guys misunderstood.
You used to be able to shoot through walls.
You guys misunderstood the assignment. Okay.
You whined so much they took it away.
Spirit gun.
Right.
Not
I don't hear you
Kamehameha.
shouting that. I don't hear you shouting Spirit Gun every time you pull out Golden Gun.
Well,
I'm the only one who go. I'm the only one out here going Kamehameha and then shooting.
So, getting back to, anyways, what I'm saying, I can do this now. If you're watching live, you can see I can have dim opened up with our chat stuff here. So, and I can actually go on there and use the vendor feature and kind of use that as a quick way to show everybody what's going on.
Very nice.
If you don't have dim, I suggest getting it. You can get it as a mobile application for your phone. If you're on mobile, I do suggest using Little Light. Little Light's great, but I'm just saying it's there. It's another option. So, but yeah.
All right, well,
you
watching anything good?
Do I? Oh God.
Yeah.
No.
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 I'm also not watching anything good. My son and I watch Futurama whenever he goes to sleep. Like he's trying to fall asleep. I'll just click that on. Like the other night, it was so funny. I come home and he's, I fed him, changed him. He should be ready for bed, not wanting to sleep. I'm like, all right, buddy. Picked him up, spun up his little blanket. He sat down next to me, gave him his little toy. Like, let's watch some Futurama. Theme song plays, look over, asleep immediately. All right. To bed he goes. But otherwise, yeah, I'm not really watching anything.
I've been busy.
As far as been reading. Just One Piece hasn't dropped its next chapter yet. Been kind of busy with stuff, getting ready for Easter tomorrow. Gonna go see the new Batman movie on Monday.
Finally.
So, I know, but I mean, 5-month-old trying to find time to go do stuff.
I get that, man. You'll enjoy it. I really believe you will. We've already talked about all that. We won't get into it again.
Yeah.
I know I enjoyed it.
You know what? What have you been drinking recently? Let's do that. We haven't been watching or reading anything. What's your taste been? Yeah.
Glen Mariki.
There it is. Drinking Bamboo Dark.
Oh my God,
Caribbean rum.
Bamboo! Ah, so good. I love that stuff, man. That stuff is so tasty. And the best way for me to describe this for you people, Bamboo, if you open it up, the very first thing you smell is almost like vanilla. It's just like almost pure vanilla.
Then you just hear steel drums in the background. You hear, "Hey man, come have a drink of the rum." It's great.
Wow.
That might have been a little racist.
You said it.
I mean,
No, this stuff. I was at my local liquor store the other day, and I was out of Jameson's. I was out of Buffalo Trace, and I go in there, and usually I'll get
huge gap in taste, man. Jameson, Buffalo Trace.
I know. Jameson's is old school for me. Like that's
Right.
like probably the first whiskey I ever had. But the Buffalo Trace, delicious, and my place usually carries it, but they are out of it right now, so they had Jameson's. I was like, do I want to get Jameson's, or do I want to get something a little bit more refined?
And he got something a little better.
A little bit more refined. So it's a Highland Single Scotch whiskey. This is so good. It says here aged 10 years. I don't know what that means. I just know it's friggin' delicious.
That means they distilled it 10 years ago.
Right.
And they threw it in a barrel to age.
It's been in a barrel that long. Whatever it is, it's good. So, but yeah, apart from that, just normal stuff.
Perfect.
Had a few cocktails today, so that's nice.
There you go. Yeah.
But
that'll have to do for us for the TWAB this week. Guys, you have a wonderful and safe Easter tomorrow. Yeah. Well, hopefully maybe we can get Blood to come join us for next one. Number 10.
Blood, are you still watching? Because I think you need to respond to us, bro. Are you going to be here next week?
No, don't put him on the spot. We'll talk to him. We'll text him. It'll be fine. You know what? Don't give us an answer right away, Blood. You do your thing. That's good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Later, guys.
Peace.